In the fight against ISIS and its reign of terror, Egypt has recast itself as a pillar of stability in the region, touting economic reforms to shore up security. In a sign of the changing times, when President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the Davos Economic Conference last month, he was warmly received with nary a mention of how he sees power or the ongoing human rights issues and political turmoil in Egypt. The country's officials are on a whirlwind tour of Europe to promote ahead of a big investors' conference in Egypt next month. Joining me now from the London Stock Exchange is Finance Minister Hany Dimian. Mr. Minister, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Christian.
Let's talk about, obviously, one of the most important things in your country, the economy. Let's face it, the Arab Spring uprisings were motivated by a desire for better economic opportunities. What have you and the President done over the last several months in terms of reforms, in terms of giving more confidence into your economy?
Absolutely. The main mission of this government is to restore confidence in the Egyptian economy. That confidence that was lost during a prolonged and delicate political transition that started in 2011. And it's not only that we bring confidence by good policies, programs, and policies programs, and projects, but more importantly, that when we do growth, we do better quality of growth with sufficient inclusivity to sustain the vast majority of Egyptians. So the strategy that we're working on is to expand and stretch on the economic basis of the country. I say that we live on 6% of our arable land, as much as we are utilizing only 10% of the capacity of our economy. And the role number one is to do the macroeconomic imbalances, to restore them, and make sure that we have sufficient new opportunities for investments with offering new projects and investment opportunities as well as cutting the red tapes.
Okay.
That's the role number one.
Okay, Mr. Minister, you are coming here also to promote a special conference in Egypt next month, and it's going to take place in the Sinai. And we all know there's been quite a lot of instability, or rather in Sharm el-Sheikh, and there's been a lot of instability. We exist in the context of all of these problems from ISIS. One of your big economic sort of powerhouses was tourism, and it hasn't recovered since 2011. What are you hoping? How are you hoping to turn that corner?
Let me just tell you that the military actions against ISIS is taking place in almost less than 0.5% of the Sinai, and it's not anywhere close to the Sharm el-Sheikh. And two, that in Sinai, especially the Sharm el-Sheikh and the Red Sea, we're having tourism that has recovered, and in many cases it is close to full capacity. The Sharm el-Sheikh conference that we expect, it is just one major element in our vision on how to bring the Egyptian economy back to the radar screens of the international investment community. And as I mentioned, we are pursuing economic policies to restore the macroeconomic imbalances. That's one. But also we're offering different broad-ranged type of projects that will attract different types of projects from different regions. In energy, in the industrial sector, in roads, in water desalination, in water treatment, you name it. Mm-hmm. So we have a broad agenda of offering investment opportunities, and there is an appetite for from the international business community to come and invest in Egypt.
Well, let me ask you about a rather sensitive topic. Obviously, people have praised the government's cutting back on fuel subsidies. But at the same time, let's say The Economist and other financial press have been saying that President Sisi, quote, has made it clear that he sees the private sector as simply playing a supporting role to the government as the steward of the economy. And as we know, and as has been delineated many times, the military itself has so much control over the economy. As a finance minister, as an economic technocrat, Do you think that that is going to spur more economic growth?
Let me just clarify an important fact here. When this government took place in early 2014, all investors were on a wait-and-see mode. Nobody wanted to take or was willing to take the risk and the first step into the Egyptian markets. So the government had to take the lead. But most of those projects are sort of subcontracted to the private sector, which has the capacity to do them. Now look at the structure of our investment map. Anything that we offer now, whether in the energy sector, whether renewable or the conventional energy, you'll find the private sector taking the lead. Under the PPP projects, we're offering projects with a magnitude of more than $10 billion pounds this year, and around another 10 billion pounds for the next year. And it's all going to be invested by the private sector. When you take the agriculture projects, these are being implemented by the private sector. Even the Suez Canal project, it's implemented, in fact, by the private sector. So we're just opening the business opportunities for the private investors to explore the opportunities to invest.
And Minister, finally, obviously the other big thing that the world looks at is what's going on the human rights issues and on the human rights table. You know, recently we've seen one of the journalists deported. We now have a plea to send the other journalist, Mohammed Fahmy, back to his own native Canada. We've seen a blogger jailed. And, of course, unfortunately, there were tragic killings when people gathered to celebrate the Tahrir Square uprisings last month. How much of a problem is this bad PR for you as you try to inspire confidence? And do you think your government needs to, you know, get to grips with some of these human rights issues?
Let me tell you very frankly that these cases that you mentioned, there were criminal acts in there against the rule of law. And if those acts have come out in any country, even here in the UK, the people would have been also facing the same legal procedures. That's one. Two, with regard to confidence, as I mentioned to you, the Egyptian economy is offering vast opportunities. And it is on an uprising mode now. Look at the growth rates, look at the diversification that we're offering in this economy, look at the appetite from the different foreign investors, and I think we are moving on the right track. And I wouldn't just link criminal acts to having an economy that is coming back to the where it should be.
The view from the Egyptian government, Minister Dimian.